Welcome back to Morning Trade Live. We want to focus on the big picture ahead of the opening bell. And what we did see was the S&P 500 had its 12th record close yesterday. And we still have a relatively strong economy. Jobless claims, again, showing some strength there. Tim Bohen's with me, Chief Technical Trainer, StocksToTrade.com, here to talk about the market action. How are you feeling big picture?
Listen, I was here, I think about a little bit over a month ago. I was very bullish then. I was actually...
Good call.
Yes, I was actually with Cheddar right over there back in April in the middle of all of the tariff quote-unquote panic right around Liberation Day. And I've been very bullish since, and so far worked out pretty well. And really, I look at with Trump going over to the Fed later today, who knows what that'll end up in. I just see so many parallels to the bull run of 2020 right now, and I think it's just going to be that much on steroids, really. So
you see more records coming?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, what's going to be the catalyst?
Well, I think number one, I think that at this point, and I go back and forth on whether rate cuts are the right thing to do, but it is a top priority to Trump. I mean, yes, he's tweeting all day long, but probably the biggest unifying theme is he's demanding rates lower, and I think he's right. I mean, I don't see why America's rates should be higher than all of these other industrialized countries out there. I mean, I think kind of what we talked about last time, rates are artificially high just as a political tool going back to the election last year.
So the AI trade, you said, has reinvigorated Wall Street. Tell me more about that.
Well, I think back to, actually, I saw a chart the other day of the stock market into the dot-com boom and then a current snapshot now. And the parallels are very similar. But I just think, I've always been a technology guy. I think that AI is going to, and particularly quantum computing, are going to make the dot-com era. You think about everything that changed. I mean, look at our lives. You and I are similar age. You go back to what our lives were like in the 90s, going to the bank, going to the store. I just think AI is going to make the internet itself look like a blip on the radar. So.
And we think about quantum computing. Do you like those stocks? I mean, some of them had run up so much.
Yeah, they got a little ahead of themselves last.
Do you like some of those names? Which ones?
QBTS is one of them. Obviously, NVIDIA and Google are also quantum plays. Amazon as well. I mean, as you mentioned, they got a little ahead of themselves last fall. I remember last fall we were trading them a lot, and they had to settle back a little bit. But I think as we head into late summer and fall, that's going to be one of the big themes. Is they're going to, how it goes. The euphoria kind of takes over a little bit. They get a little too hot, and then they got to settle down for the next level. So
when we think about these names, I mean, let's go into Google a little bit, Alphabet Google, because they reported and talked about CapEx spending, which now brings us to a new higher level. Your thoughts on this name?
Well, I love them as a quantum play. They have their Willow chip that just got announced, and one of the fastest, best quantum computing chips out there. And I think of a name like Google, obviously it's going to cost a lot of money. I mean, quantum computing is crazy expensive. The data centers, the cooling, just getting the electricity. But when you think of a company that has the most to benefit from the ridiculous processing speed that quantum offers, I mean, I go back to kind of that theme. I remember the first time I ran a Google search, and the results came back in 0.001 seconds, and you're like, holy cow. Well, quantum's going to allow them to do that again with the AI side of things.
Understood. I mean, so that's an area that you definitely love. I mean, you mentioned NVIDIA, Google, Amazon, QBTS as some of the names. Do you have other sectors that you also like?
The biggest thing right now that also watching is a lot of, and I mentioned this last time, a lot of this military defense stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there is, as much as I'm actually very anti-war, but very pro-military, but you look at where it be Saronic or a lot of these companies, now a lot of them aren't public yet, but when you look at the anti-drone tech, submersible drones, as well as Saronic does a lot of on-the-water drones, I think that's really, when you talk about spending and money flow, what collects more money than military tech?
And we've seen them doing well. I mean, like I just pulled in, for example, General Dynamics had a gap up to a new high. And you look at these names, they're generally pretty good news overall. I mean, I put Lockheed Martin aside because that one is not as good. But, for the big picture, you do like those names. The Fed, you said you're not sure what you think the Fed should do. I mean, and that makes sense because you do have a strong economy, but lower rates pertaining to other, I mean, we just saw the ECB move, so that makes some sense. When you think about crypto, tell me about that, because that's also on your radar. You said you talked about the excitement and the
and again, not to kind of toot my own horn, but back in April, I was right over there, and I said buy Bitcoin at 80,000, and it's testing 120.
Did you do that?
Yes,
you bought it.
Yeah, okay. Well, I've had every dip. I basically, when it comes to Bitcoin, I go to bed every night saying, give us a dip, because I am very bullish Bitcoin and have
been.
Long term. I don't, it's kind of like my Tesla stock. I don't plan on ever selling it.
Oh, so you're going to hold it for the long term.
Yes.
That's interesting. What happens to the US dollar? Are we worried about the US dollar or not so much?
I got worries. Unfortunately, and I think we're dealing with the decisions of the past, a lot of bad decisions. I mean, you look at the value of the dollar going back to when the Fed was established, like the dollar's up here and it's just straight down. Now, I do have faith that Powell is going to be replaced and the economy is going to get stronger and Trump will reverse that. But based on the decisions of the past, I am worried about the U.S. dollar. Yeah.
What kind of portfolio do you like to set up? And also, for StocksToTrade.com, did I miss any favorite stocks before I get to a portfolio setup? So you do like Bitcoin. You mentioned some of those stocks. In a portfolio, like how would you have it? Do you have fixed income in there? You have crypto in there? What's the, sort of breakdown?
So I am very speculative. A lot of your guests are probably more, traditional, et cetera, but heavily weighted in tech, heavily weighted in crypto, heavily weighted in very speculative stuff. But
what else would be in there that's speculative?
Well, a lot of very low price stocks, like I day trade a lot as well. So like LiDAR was a name that they had news with Nvidia this morning. Last I saw, stock's up like 250%.
Wow.
Now I haven't bought that yet because I was here, but I have traded it in the past. A lot of what we do with Stocks to Trade, we geared towards day traders, swing traders. So not really a lot of the long-term hold type stuff.
And just long-term advice for a young person, maybe?
I love day trading. Now you got to be smart. One thing I look at is, and these are a couple things, they've announced 22-hour trading. That's already going to happen. There was rumors this weekend of 24/7 trading.
Wow, yeah.
And a lot of the viewers probably don't have to deal with what's called the pattern day trader rule. But that's one of those rules that was established back during the dot-com boom that makes it hard for young people, small accounts, to freely day trade. And they're putting pressure to either eliminate that or move the criteria right down.
Right.
Now, I always want people to be safe, especially if you're young. But I think just you look at the opportunity in the stock market.
Yeah.
There's nothing, and the accessibility is getting more and more to anyone, even if they're just getting started out.
No word on energy or financials, anything like that?
Just kind of too boring for me. Now, listen, a couple years ago, the green energy stuff was very hot, but right now they're just kind of boring. I liked your meh. That's pretty much it. Yeah.
All right, Tim. Tim Bohen, Chief Technical